Mine not local.
Kobe Bryant of the Los Angeles Lakers gives teammate a signal, which stands for isolation, which means giving the ball and get it out of the way. There are several different types of ways to communicate while playing sports. When coaching, I have to be able to communicate with my players without even talking. I have to be able to read and interpret what they're trying to communicate with me, such as when they're injured, tired, or even when they're not focused at the task at hand. There are several various ways to communicate without speaking, like reading body language, pointing, and eye contact. Also, the advantages that will give you and your team. Lastly, how coaches have to be able to read body language if something is wrong with their players. Starting off, there are various ways to communicate with body language. NonVerbalGroup.com talks about the rate of nonverbal communication, saying 55% of communication is through facial expressions, gestures, and postures. When playing a sport, a huge element is being able to communicate with your team. Some of the gestures of nonverbal communications, for example, are eye contact, body language, and hand motion, also finger pointing. In these sports, simple gestures can play a tremendous role, such as finger pointing, which can point to a team member out what opponent might be a threat. You can also point to players on your team to get them into position. Making eye contact with team will sometimes have different meanings. Some players will look at each other and seem puzzled, or they can look at each other and give each other the look of confidence, letting each other know they have each other's back. Small things, nonverbal gestures like this can give your team an edge throughout the competition. Secondly, advantages of various gestures through sports. Being able to communicate without speaking can give you and your team an advantage. According to oureverydaylife.com, nonverbal communication sometimes is essential to the success or failure of a team. In sports such as baseball, where different hand signs throughout the whole game gives a player an edge on competition. American football is a great example of this. Players and coaches on the sideline will hold up cue cards with many different pictures, animals, foods, or etc. They gain a huge advantage because only players on the team know exactly what every picture means. With the pictures and gestures, it can speed up the game, leaving the opposing team waiting, thinking what the team's next move is. Having the upper hand against competition can lead to victory. Lastly, coaches have to be able to read the players' body language. When coaching sports, you have to be able to know when players are fatigued, lack focus, or even when they're injured. When looking at the player, they might be bent over, maybe a sign telling you that they're tired and need someone to take their place. When people are playing and they are staring off into space and not really engaged into what their sports they're playing, it can mean that they're not mentally there and sometimes need to be told to get their head in the game. Also, players is holding a part of their body such as a leg, knee, elbow can be a sign of injury and maybe it needed attended to. A big indicator that someone is hurt is facial expressions. He or she might be dealing with an injury. I found information on that on verywellhealth.com. In conclusion, nonverbal sports makes the majority of the way we talk to each other every day. It plays a huge impact with sports. When using this technique on the field, you will have a better chance of winning. And nonverbal communication is extremely critical during sports and can lead team to a championship. Thank you for your time. My name is Brian Lino, and that concludes my speech.